Article 152, Presidency. Each council elects a president from its members for a term of 1 year, together with the first vice president and the second vice president. Re-election for the following year is not permitted. Section 2, Procedure. Article 156. Separate proceedings. Number 1. The proceedings of the National Council and Council of States take place separately. Number 2. Decisions of the Federal Assembly require the agreement of both chambers. Article 157. Joint proceedings. Number 1. The National Council and Council of States holds joint proceedings as the United Federal Assembly under the presidency of the President of the National Council in order to c. Decide on appreciations for pardons. Article 159. Quorum and required majority. Number 1. The councils are quorate if a majority of the members is present. Number 2. Decisions are taken in both chambers and in the United Federal Assembly by the majority of those who vote. Number 3. However, the consent of an absolute majority of the members of each of the two councils is required for a. A declaration that the Federal Act is urgent. b. Provisions of subsides, guarantee credits, or spending ceilings that involve new non-recurrent expenditure of more than 20 million francs or new recurring expenditure of more than 2 million francs. c. An increase in overall expenditure in the case of extraordinary financial requirements in terms of Article 126, Paragraph 3. Number 4. The Federal Assembly may, by ordinance, adjust subsides made in terms of Paragraph 3, letter B, in line with inflation. Section 3, Powers. Article 163, Form of Federal Assembly Enactments. Article 164, Legislation. Number 1. All significant provisions that establish binding legal rules must be enacted in the form of a Federal Act. These include, in particular, fundamental provisions on a. The exercise of political rights. b. The restriction of constitutional rights. c. The rights and obligations of persons. d. Those liable to pay tax, as well as the subject matter and assessment of taxes and duties. e. The duties and services of the Confederation. f. The obligations of the cantons in relation to the implementation and enforcement of federal law. g. The organization and procedure of the federal authorities. Article 165, Emergency Legislation. Number 1. Federal acts whose coming into force cannot be delayed, emergency federal acts, may be declared urgent by an absolute majority of the members of each of two councils, and be brought into force immediately. Such acts must be limited duration. Number 2. If a referendum is requested on an emergency federal act, the act must be repealed 1 year after being passed by the Federal Assembly. It has not in the meantime been approved by the people. Number 3. An emergency federal act that does not have the Constitution as its basis must be repealed 1 year after being passed by the Federal Assembly, if it has not in the meantime been approved by the people and the cantons. Any such act must be of limited duration. Number 4. An emergency federal act that is not approved in the popular vote may not be renewed. Article 166. Foreign relations and international treaties. Number 1. The Federal Assembly shall participate in shaping foreign policy and supervise the maintenance of foreign relations. Article 169. Oversight. Number 1. The Federal Assembly exercises oversight over the Federal Council and the Federal Administration, the Federal Courts, and other bodies entrusted with the tasks of the Confederation. Article 173. Further duties and powers. Number 1. The Federal Assembly has the following additional duties and powers. A. Taking measures to safeguard external security in the independence and the neutrality of Switzerland. B. Taking measures to safeguard internal security. C. If extraordinary circumstances require, issuing ordinances or simple federal decrees in order to fulfill its duties under letters A and B. D. Regulating active service and mobilizing the armed forces or sections thereof for this purpose. Chapter 3. Federal Council and Federal Administration. Section 1. Organization and Procedure. Article 174. Federal Council. The Federal Council is the supreme governing and executive authority of the Confederation. Article 175. Composition and Election. Number 1. The Federal Council has 7 members. Number 2. The members of the Federal Council are elected by the Federal Assembly following each general election of the National Council. Number 3. They are elected for a term of office of 4 years. Any Swiss citizens eligible for election to the National Council may be elected to the Federal Council. Number 4. In electing the Federal Council, care must be taken to ensure that the various geographical and language regions of the country are appropriately represented. Article 176. Presidency. Number 1. The President of the Confederation chairs the Federal Council. Number 2. The President and the Vice President of the Federal Council are elected by the Federal Assembly from the members of the Federal Council for a term of office of 1 year. Section 2. Powers. Article 180. Government Policy. Number 1. The Federal Council decides on the objectives of the federal government policy and the means by which they should be achieved. It plans and coordinates state activities. Article 181. Right to initiate legislation. The Federal Council submits drafts of Federal Assembly legislation to the Federal Assembly. Article 182. Lawmaking and implementation of legislation. Article 185. External and internal security. Number 1. The Federal Council takes measures to safeguard external security, independence, and neutrality of Switzerland. Number 2. It takes measures to safeguard internal security. Number 3. It may indirect application of this article issue ordinances and rulings in order to counter existing or imminent threats of serious disruption to public order or internal or external security. Such ordinances must be limited in duration. Number 4. In cases of emergency, it may mobilize the armed forces. Where it mobilizes more than 4,000 members of the armed forces for active service, or where the deployment of such troops is expected to last for more than 3 weeks. The Federal Assembly must be convened without delay. Chapter 4 Federal Supreme Court and Other Judicial Authorities Article 189 Jurisdiction of the Federal Supreme Court Article 190 Applicable Law The Federal Supreme Court and the other judicial authorities apply the federal acts and international law. Article 191c Independence of the Judiciary Title 6 Revision of the Federal Constitution and Transitional Provisions Chapter 1 Revision Article 192 Principle Number 1 The Federal Constitution may be totally or partially revised at any time. Article 193 Total Revision Number 1 A total revision of the Federal Constitution may be proposed by the people or by either of the two councils or be decreed by the Federal Assembly. Number 2 If the initiative emanates from the people, or if the two chambers are unable to agree, the people decide on whether a total revision should be carried out. Number 3. If the people vote for a total revision, new elections shall be held to both chambers. Number 4. The mandatory provisions of international law must not be violated. Article 194 Partial Revision Number 1 A partial revision of the Federal Constitution may be requested by the people or decreed by the Federal Assembly. Number 2 The partial revision must respect the principle of cohesion of subject matter and must not violate mandatory provisions of international law. Number 3 The popular initiative for partial revision must also respect the principle of consistency of form. Article 195 Commencement The totally or partly revised Federal Constitution comes into force when it is approved by the people and the cantons. Chapter 2 Transitional Provisions Article 197 Transitional provisions following the adoption of the Federal Constitution of 18th April 1999. Number 1. Accession of Switzerland to the United Nations. Number 11. Transitional provision to Article 121A, Control of Immigration. Number 1. International agreements that contradict Article 121A must be renegotiated and amended within 3 years of its adoption by the people and the cantons. Number 2. If the implementing legislation for Article 121A has not come into force within 3 years of its adoption by the people and the cantons, the Federal Council shall issue temporary implementing provisions in the form of an ordinance. Final provisions of the Federal Decree of 18th December 1998.